breakup urges are not your intuition telling you to break up. I will tell you why and what it is. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because breakup urges are pretty nasty. I remember so well that I had this intense, almost physical feeling that I had to break up with my then boyfriend, now husband, so I didn't. And that staying would just be like, that would be such a horrible choice. Everything in me screamed that I had to break up. And it was almost as if I could only be okay if I had broken up with him. So it really was an urge. It was an urge to do something and break up with him. And I in the beginning, I had so much fear around this. Whenever I would have that question pop up in my head, like, shouldn't I break up? And then it became more demanding and more demanding as time went on. And then kind of the fear subsided and it just became numbness and apathy. And it became more of a statement. You have to break up. You have to break up. Like it was this authoritative voice telling me that I had to break up. um I reckon that if you click on this video you kind of recognize this. Otherwise this probably sounds very interesting, but when you've gone through it, you know that it can be this really calm voice that is just demanding of you that you break up. That is still a breakup urge. I get this question a lot, like, does the fact that I don't feel fear around it mean that this is my intuition, that my intuition is telling me that I have to break up? And it's not. It's not that only when you feel fear, that it's not your intuition, and that when you feel numbness, that then all of a sudden it's true. I was convinced that this was my intuition, by the way. I was convinced that my intuition was telling me that I had to break up, and I wasn't listening, and so my intuition was just repeating it, and being harsher and harsher. I now know that it wasn't my intuition, because your intuition is love. It's unconditional, beautiful love. And unconditional means that there are no conditions. And breakup urges inherently have conditions in them. You have to break up, otherwise. The otherwise, whatever follows otherwise, is a condition. Otherwise, you'll be unhappy forever. Otherwise, you'll hurt them. You have to break up, otherwise, you won't be happy. So, the fact that there is a otherwise shows you that there is a condition, and therefore it's not love. It's not unconditional love. Also, the have to, the demand, that would never ever be unconditional love, because unconditional love sees so many possibilities, sees so many ways to get where you want to go, which is another thing. When it is demanding, it's a demanding voice, it's demanding something from you, that's not freedom, and that's not love. So it cannot be your intuition. The other thing, the fourth thing, is that it feels very urgent. You have to break up now, otherwise. So those four things tell you that this is not your intuition, because intuition is unconditional love, and your intuition guides you and helps you to where you want to go. You're a co-creator in that. You're not this powerless victim. And that's where this comes from, right? So you want to break up. First, let's dive into why you have these breakup urges. You want to break up because you want to be free of this feeling. You want to be free of this negative association that you have around relationships, around love, around being in connection with somebody, connecting to somebody. And that feels either uncomfortable or just downright threatening. And to paint a picture, imagine that when you were younger, you were attacked by a dog. Just a dog. It came up to you and bit you in the leg. After this incident, you will probably see all dogs differently. And every time a dog approaches you, you might get scared and you want to run away, right? Even if it's a completely different dog. And you can see that. You can see that that dog that bit you was a white dog, and this is a black dog. And this black dog looks very friendly, but in your body still lives this fear of being bitten by that first dog. And so you associate dogs with pain. And when you are a fearful avoidant, you associate love and connection with pain. And you can heal that. That is not something that you will just have to deal with for the rest of your life. But I want you to know that that breakup urge comes from that protective part in you that wants you to not experience the same pain that you experienced when you were younger. And so this is your fear brain telling you you have to break up because then you'll be safe. You have to break up because then you'll be free. You have to break up because then what happened when you were younger won't happen again. Your fear brain is just really scared of being in that same situation with a dog, with a partner now, and feeling connection and feeling love, even if you're trying to suppress that really hard. And so it is not your intuition that is turning up the dial saying you have to break up. You have to break up now, otherwise. It's your fear brain, because only fear does that. Only fear is demanding, uses urgency, uses threats. If you don't do this, you will be unhappy forever. You will be unsafe. Only your fear brain will use that. These are fear tactics. And it can very well be that those are the same tactics that were used when you were younger. And that's why you have this calm, authoritative voice in your head and you feel like a powerless victim. Because maybe that was the case when you were younger. Your parent just demanded things from you, didn't really listen to what you wanted, and didn't see multiple possibilities. It had to be this way or else. And you take all of those experiences and associations with you in your relationships. And so when there's a lot of pain around connection and love, that's when that authoritative voice comes in and says you have to break up. That's when fear comes in and says you have to break up, because otherwise you're going to be in the same situation that you were in when you were younger. Bad things are going to happen. So unless and until you release that association that you have around relationships, being in a relationship, commitment, connection, love, it will feel scary to your fear brain. It will associate it with what you've learned about love and connection when you grew up with your parents. So unless you let go of the fear of that dog biting you when you were younger, you will associate that pain with every dog that you see. But just as you can release that fear around, or the experience and the association around that incident with that dog, you can definitely also release the associations that you have around love and connection. So a breakup urge is definitely not a sign that you have to break up, because in a way it's escaping. You are just escaping the feelings that you have. A breakup urge is an invitation to look to see where this comes from. And it almost always, pretty much always, comes from your childhood and the associations that you have stemming from your childhood. So there are multiple ways to heal these wounds. There are so many beautiful healing modalities. The thing I used was the emotional freedom technique. You've heard me talk about this before. And I love the emotional freedom technique because it really goes to the root of your fear. Take the dog, because that's like pretty clear and concrete. I would tap. Tapping is what you do with the emotional freedom technique. It looks really weird, but it works. I would tap around um, the dog approaching, the pain, the aftermath. I would tap on everything. And then your body is kind of, you neutralize all those negative emotions. You neutralize the negative associations that you have with it. You keep the memories. It's not that you forget the whole thing. You keep the memories, but it doesn't have that emotional charge anymore. It doesn't really do anything anymore. And that can be the same when it comes to relationships. So you can release all the negative associations that you have, and therefore you can view this relationship that you have now neutrally. So that means without the lens of your past experiences. It doesn't mean that you don't feel anything for your partner. It means that what you feel for your partner is not muddied by past experiences. And so it is way easier to feel love and to feel beautiful feelings of connection and warmth. So releasing the negative associations, really diving a little bit deeper, will also heal these breakup urges. They are just a very scared fear brain who is trying to protect you and trying to tell you, well, if you just break up, then there's no threat at all. But your fear brain is not very intelligent. It's just wanting to protect you. It's not saying, this is interesting. Let's see where this is coming from. And maybe we can heal this and work through this. And then it is very well possible to be in a beautiful relationship with this really kind person, because I am assuming that your relationship is healthy and that you have a kind and loving partner. It's not saying that. It's just saying, oh, this kind of feels like what I felt when I was younger. Abort mission. Go away. Get out of here. But that's where leadership comes in, and you say, okay, I see that you're afraid, and I take that seriously, but we are going to see where this is coming from. Because otherwise you get stuck in this pattern of fear, and then giving a lot of power to that fear, and then not really seeing what is underneath. And I've had talks with people who had breakup urges and have left 5, 6, 7 relationships until they saw, wait, this happens in every single relationship. Maybe that's a pattern. Maybe that's not my intuition, but this is a pattern. It is always worth it to dig a little deeper and see what can be underneath this, what negative associations you have, what fears, what pain you have, and then release it with the emotional freedom technique or any other technique. We do this in my program, Healed and Happy. We go to the roots of every single root of the fearful avoidant attachment style, and we release it. And when you do that, you will not have breakup urges anymore, because love feels safe and relationships feel safe. Let me know in the comments below whether you have those breakup urges. And if you recognize any of this, I would love to know. I'm so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.